welcome to World of Work. My name is Joshua, and with me are my usual co-hosts,
Anna and Alfred.
And with me are two very interesting guests, Mr. Senor Tete and Mr. Brian AJ. So let's first start with them telling us more about who they are. So, Mr. Senor Tete, could you tell us briefly who you are?
I'm an architect by profession. I was educated at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And after that, I went in Ghana for 2 years and then moved to Liberia because of a lack of interest in work in Ghana. In Liberia, I was busy working on their new university campus at Fendel, Monrovia. I moved to the UK after 8 years in Liberia, where I was until late 90s when we moved back to Ghana so that I can set up my own practice. I have a practice in Accra called S. Tete and Associates. So I have been busy for 30 years now running S. Tete and Associates.
Congratulations. And Mr. Brian AJ.
All right, so Brian. I have a software background. I've been in the software industry for, I think it's 10 years now. I've been building web applications, mobile applications, and desktop apps, you name it. And I've worked with quite a lot of companies here in Ghana. One of them, which was iSpace Foundation, that laid quite a foundation in my early career years. So I worked with iSpace, and then I transitioned to work at GetStart in Silicon Valley. Of course, you would ask me and say, why did you just get up and leave, Ghana and go to Silicon Valley? I mean, it's been a lifelong dream.
So you're talking about Silicon Valley, US, not
yes, Silicon Valley.
Ghana.
No, Silicon Valley, US.
Okay.
Yes, where they drink all the coffee, they have all the late night chats, and then all of that. And so I went there not to seek greener pastures per se, but to put pressure on myself, and for me to scale to the. I wanted fast growth, so I wanted to scale as fast as I can. And I had conquered the Ghana markets as very, very early in my career. And I think one thing that would have shaken me or would have sent me to the next stage of my career would have to move to the US and to see what's happening in that ecosystem. So yeah, I transitioned to Silicon Valley, and I've been in the space for a long while. And traditionally, I've transitioned from software currently into more business-focused roles. And more into business because I'm also a business owner.
Okay.
And as you can see, I have my business on my shirt, which is Hashtag Technologies. And basically, I've been doing a lot of awesome stuff with software here in Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for someone who wants to understand in one sentence what Tastak does, how do you describe it?
So we are an engineering as a service company. So we accelerate engineering here in Ghana. And when I talk about software engineering, yes, when I talk about engineering, I mean software engineering.
Okay.
So if you are a company and you're struggling through tech debt, and you are unable to scale it because of capacity, why not outsource it to Touchstack Technologies for us to build it end to end for you?
So if you have some tech issues, something with
your... So not necessarily issues, I would say more of feature requests. You're trying to build a new feature, but you don't have human capacity to build it. You can outsource that to us. We'll be able to get our velocity to you and then build it as fast as we can.
Okay.
Yeah, so we help build products end to end. We work with startups, enterprises, you name it. Anybody within the SMB, mid-market, enterprise market, yeah.
So I would say both of you are technically international because you worked in Liberia, UK, you worked in US, and now you are back. I think you asked someone, you were saying someone asked why you left. I think most people will be asking why you came back. Yes. But we'll get to that part. So I want to start with this. World of Work is a program where we talk about all sorts of things, and we talk to all groups of people, professionals, students, and stuff like that. And the first question that someone who is watching this may ask is that, okay, maybe I'm someone who is in school, I'm not quite sure what I want to do, or I'm someone who is in the middle of trying to transition to another career. For you, Mr. Tete, and for you, Brian, how did you stumble onto what you are doing, and how did you decide that this is what I want to do with my life? So I'll start with you, Mr. Senior.
At the time I was growing up, there were no school counselors. So unless your parents tell you what to do, most of the time you don't know what to do. My parents wanted me to be a doctor. So I went to read science, chemistry, physics, and biology in sixth form. But then I quickly realized that I was squeamish. I couldn't stand blood, and I hated the smell of chemicals and so on. So I told my dad I wasn't going to be a doctor, and he was quite disappointed. One day I went to the district library and stumbled upon a book on careers. And as I read through the book, the profession of architecture I found very attractive because it was a combination of engineering, art, and social science. And I thought I was somebody was gifted in so many ways. So architecture seemed like something that I would enjoy very much. So although I was reading physics, chemistry, biology at the time, I applied to the School of Architecture at KNUST and was lucky to be invited for the interview. Those days they interviewed us because there were not many. At the interview, I seemed to have impressed the lecturers who were interviewing us. And so I was given the chance to go and read architecture. And you won't believe it, there were only 15 of us selected to do architecture that year. And I was one of them. And
that was the only school of architecture in the whole of Ghana.
Yes, it was the only school of architecture in the whole of Ghana. And in fact, even in Africa, I think we're like the third one, So there were even people from Nigeria and Ethiopia who come to study architecture in KNUST. So that's how I ended up being an architect. But there were times that during the course, I thought from talking to some of my seniors that I made a mistake because architect didn't earn that much money. So there was even a time when I applied for to be a dentist, from an advert in the papers. And I went for the interview and was asked, you're supposed to be in a university, and we only take people who didn't have a chance to get into a university. So why are you applying for this? We think from your grades you must be in a Ghanaian university. And I had to lie because I wanted to go and do dentistry. and earn a lot of money, Surprisingly, at that time, I was just thinking about the money and all the chemicals. So I was taken, but unfortunately, I had to give my home address instead of my university address. So all the papers went to my home. And my dad said, if you don't want to be a medical doctor, I don't want you to go and do dentistry. So he kind of kept all the papers until it was the time had lapsed before he showed them to me. And years later, when my dad lost all his teeth, he said, I wish I'd allowed you to go and study dentistry. You would have helped save my teeth. So that's how I stumbled upon the profession of architecture.
So, Brian, you have a slightly different path. I don't think you even went to university to end up in the profession you are in. Yeah. So, what happened?
Curiosity happened. I think for me, I was fortunate enough to have parents who loved computers. And unlike Uncle Senor, obviously, he's on the much more older side. I how come I'm standing in line and say,
your beard belies your age. It's very, very young, as you are saying.
yeah, I wouldn't say in the in the usual traditional way. Oh, and I was born in the era that there was no computers and we had to do all of those things.
No, we had to be bused
exactly
from Cape Coast to Kumasi to go and see computers.
Yeah,
That was the time. That was 1970.
yeah,
And it was just the science students. And we couldn't see anything because it was a mainframe.
frame.
And we just saw people punching cards. And we just ended up enjoying ourselves and we came back to Cape Coast. But the point is, yeah, I mean, 1970 to now is how many years? It's 55 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
55 years now. And so computers were very scarce. Right now,
Yeah.
you are in an era
yeah,
where computers are available everywhere. And I remember my first desktop computer, the hard disk capacity was 20 megabytes. Over to you. Brian.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I know that feeling. That was a bad feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
So back to my story. Of course, I didn't go through the traditional means where, I went to high school. That's what I wanted. I went to high school. I completed.
You went to a very good high school.
Yes, I went to a very good high school. So I went to Faith Montessori School and Ghana International School to complete. I went back to Ghana International School to complete my A levels, and after that, of course, every parent's dream is go and pursue your first degree. Why are you here? And at the end of the day, for me, it started off as taking a gap year, and then it transitioned to I really love computers. I got exposed to it at a very early age. My dad always played with computers. You would go and buy the latest gadgets from the gone are the days where I'm sure Uncle Senyo and you would also know the good old Nokia N95, and then there used to be one that you would flip with a long QWERTY keyboard, and you could flip back and all of those things. And I used to just play around with it. And those were also the times of there used to be something called, that was one of the first touchscreen devices. It used to be called a PDA. If you had a PDA device, it had a small stylus and then all of those things. And my dad used to have that. I think for him, my dad is always somebody that he's always curious about technology. He always wants to get ahead of the curve. And even at his old age, at 70, he still uses the latest device, knows TikTok more than I do, and then all of those things. So that really took my curiosity in tech to another level. I'd gotten exposed to graphic design way earlier. And for me, after taking the gap year, when I was taking the gap year, I strongly felt in my spirit that I wanted to be a game developer. All right, and I'll let you know why I wanted to be a game developer, because I was exposed to playing games, video games. Back then, there was this thing called a Game Boy, and the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy XP, and then all of those things. And my first console that my dad bought for me, I'm sure if he's watching me, he would be laughing. He bought me a fake PlayStation, which was called Police Station. And yeah, it was a fake PlayStation, but it had this gun that came with it. And those days we used to have cartridges. Okay. And we used to point it at the screen and we used to shoot back, and some quacking ducks and all of that stuff. Yeah, so I've always loved games. I've been an avid gamer, and out of that, I said, oh no, if I want to build my own game. I want to go and build games and all of that. Then obviously taking the gap year, I got exposed to certain. I became a self-taught programmer.
Okay.
Right, within that gap year period, I was exploring Unity, building games with Unity, and then also learning C++ and all of those things and stuff like that. So that was what even took my love for programming to another level, because I could punch in random languages that only a computer could understand, right? And it could give me an output. So if I sit behind a computer and I type this, and I print it, it gives me something behind it. I'm like, bro, this is something that if I tell a human being, that human being can't speak that language back to me. Of course, we were exposed to the traditional language system of tree, fancy, airway, and all of those things. But to sit and understand the computer language and for a computer to give you a response, it was something that was mind-boggling. And from there, it's been curious up until this episode and beyond. It's the curiosity that has led me to where I am today. So, if there's anybody that's watching us, right, and that is also something that Uncle Senyo also mentioned about, that his curiosity led him to do what he knew that when he got exposed to becoming a doctor, he couldn't stand blood and then all of those things, and say, okay, this is not me. And it's, you see, being a human being, you need to admit to yourself, what do you like versus, you know, what works for you versus what doesn't work for you. And so honesty starts with you being honest to yourself. Nobody can be honest to you if you are not honest to yourself. So be honest with yourself. I know we live in an age where everybody's parents wants to, you know, choose career paths and do all of those things for their kids. But now the digital age has changed. The landscape is way different. Now, at least what I know is that now parents that are coming up are leaning towards the digital or the digitization side of things. That, oh, it's not go and become a teacher, go and become a doctor, go and become. Of course, there are certain parents and there are certain households that all their kids have to become a doctor. We are become a doctor, right? But there are different paths for everyone. So I feel like to any child or to any individual watching this, be curious enough to explore. Right? They say the world is your oyster, and I said, but at the end of the day, try everything as much as you can. And to those who are in university, take your internship seriously. Right? Try experiments, find what works for you. Oh, yeah, maybe you're a creative person. You could become a content creator. You could become anything, right? I would one day, if I have my own kids, I will not force my child or my daughter to become a software engineer. Everybody knows that. They're like, oh, your kids, they're on best your computer, on best mia computer, right? We need to groom our kids towards what they want. What if my son wants to be a footballer? Should I kill his football dreams just because I want him to? And you see, you also need to understand it. And Uncle Senyo, I would like him to also share his 2 cents on that, and you as well, because you both are parents, right? The African system is that the African way of showing love to your children is they'll say, "Don't go and disgrace us." Right? That's the phrase that every Ghanaian parent or this thing, don't go and disgrace us, because first of all, the typical Ghanaian parents, because they could not achieve certain things, they force down the pressure on the child to achieve it. I don't know if it's true, but that's true. I mean, it's something that is there. So you end up seeing a child or somebody going through uni and saying, "Oh, my parents said I should choose this, but me, I don't want to do it, Mr. Brian. I don't want to do it, but because I have to fulfill all righteousness, I'll do it." And 2 days, 2 years down the line, they've gone to a different industry and they are excelling so well. Right? So to any parent watching this, I would say try to understand your child. There are children that are slow learners like myself. I didn't start as fast. I wouldn't come here and say I was a brilliant child. No, I was not a brilliant child. I was a slow learner. I'm still a slow learner, but I adapt quickly.
People say, I thought people say that IT is for sharp brains. Also.
Oh no, it's IT. You see, that thing of IT is for sharp brains. Yes, you have to have a sharp brain, but you also need to give yourself some grace. I believe that no process should be rushed. Everybody needs to take their time to get to where they have to get to. I believe in trust the process. Give yourself some time. And that
sounds like the Arsenal manager. Trust the process. Arteta.
Yeah, you have to trust the process. And for me, I always say that the earlier you embrace failure, the faster it is for you to be successful.
Yeah. Right?
We have a culture where we are designed to be timid. So we are not curious to ask questions. Yeah. If you go and ask, if a young architect who's in level 100 comes to ask Mr. Senyo, "Oh, Mr. Senyo, How did you do A, B, C, and D? One, he wouldn't even have the confidence to come and ask. Because Papa Penimudi, who is a question I had, right? So you come into a space or an environment where you are already programmed to be timid. You have to break that timidity. Because in the world, in the markets, and we'll talk about markets, right? When you launch yourself out into the markets, there's no place for timidity.
Yeah.
There's no place for you to say, I am not confident. You have to be confident. So, yeah.
So, Brian has said a lot, and I think there are even some things he wants to respond to. Was there anything he said that spoke out to you? Anything you want to comment on?
Oh, yes. The life in the UK exposed me to a flexible working environment. As Brian was talking about not forcing things upon your employees. I have that kind of system in my office. My office has won several national competitions, design competitions because of that. Because when I get people to work in the office, I make them feel that they're not working for me, but they're working for themselves. So I have a flexible attitude to work and life. So you come into the office, if you want flexible hours, I give it to you, So some people work only 4 days a week. And my office is open to every worker. You can walk in and you don't even have to knock. Unless because I'm having a meeting. So I have a glass window on my door so that you know whether I'm having a meeting or not. I tell them if I don't have a meeting, just come in and discuss whatever the issue is. And so we have that flexible space. And it has made my staff, very ambitious and very excited, to create. And when they bring ideas, I listen. I don't start talking and say, oh, no, what you're saying, I don't think will work. And because of listening and adopting some of the good ideas that my workers, brought into the firm, we have really done well because I think people ask me, how come, some of your workers have been working for you for 20 years or more? Because we have a high turnover. But you don't seem to have
other competing firms.
Yes, other competing firms have high turnover because you get a smart guy and within a year or two he's gone, and he takes the institutional memory with him. But in my office, because you don't see yourself as working for a boss, you're working for yourself. You're willing to stay and contribute and make everybody feel that they're contributing and they are important to the firm. And I verbally. Unlike people of my age, I verbally praise my workers, and engage them. And
your contemporaries don't do that.
No.
Why?
No, because I guess it's a human thing. Okay. If you're telling your junior, hey, you're very good, I think you're smart. It's like you're putting them ahead of you. The boss wants to be the smart one in the. Yeah, it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing. Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's a cultural thing, and when I see that you're smart, you're contributing to the office, I invite you over and have a word with you. I say, look, I think you're someone I want to partner with. Are you interested? You say, yeah. Then we have a partnership agreement. So I have 2 young guys who are my partners. And now, when we had COVID, they told me, so look, boss, we don't need you in the office. People of your age, you might get affected by COVID and die and leave us. So stay at home. We will do the work, And that's the kind of loyalty and commitment I have in my office. And we celebrate everybody's birthday. And we do a lot of things together, And sometimes you walk into the office and you see one of the staff members sitting on the stairs, having their lunch. In my time, if the boss is coming, I'll run and go back to my desk. But in my office, because of the flexible space, flexible time, and the kind of team spirit I've built, because once you deliver. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
They take work home. I don't have to tell them. If we have weekly staff meetings where we have targets. Once you meet your targets, that's fine. You can do the work at home, or you can do it in the office, or if you need to go do something else during working hours, it's fine. You see, we don't have a rigid system in the office, and I just love going to work, because of the kind of people I work with, because everybody seems to be very excited to come to work, and people bring in ideas. I mean, the sad thing is that we don't have enough work in Ghana to keep us busy, because there's so much competition.
Yeah.
But if I enumerate, we all the competitions we've won. We won the competition to build houses for forest rangers, for the wildlife division of the Forestry Commission. And they wanted buildings that kind of blend in with the forestry environment.
Yeah.
And I remember the day they announced, I think it was funded by one of these USAID or some foreign company, the competition. I had a friend there who was telling me when the 10th position was announced that, oh, sorry, you didn't even place 10th, then 9th, then 8th, and then 2nd. And then they said the first place was my company. And my friend, I was looking for him, I couldn't find him. He had disappeared, So we did that, and then recently they wanted to move the Makula Law School to near Presec, near the Ghana Business School in Presec. So there was a national design competition, and my office won,
Yeah.
And then recently there was another competition to design prototype passport application centers for all the regions. And my office won, and people, and my colleagues, when I appear at meetings, at Ghana Institute of Architects meetings, they joke with me, hey, I hope this time you'll not enter the competition.
Were you the main person doing those designs, or you
Very
do
good.
it today?
My contribution is minimal. I mean, these young guys, they are smart.
Yes.
Like my office. Look, I was educated with a drawing board. But now
Slide
things
rule
have, my drawing board in T-Square. Now
T-square,
things have moved to using the computer-aided design. And I make sure I'm always in I don't draw nowadays, I'm the boss. I just supervise and comment on people's designs.
Yeah.
But I make sure we buy the latest software, because when we realized that AutoCAD was a bit slow in what we want to achieve, and Revit was the new CAD software, I quickly made us move to Revit, and I brought in somebody to come and teach us, So we're ahead of most of our, contemporaries, and so on and so forth, So these young people who can use the computers, have the tools available for them to achieve. And when you are happy in a place and you don't have a boss who micromanages you, you're free to dream and come up with ideas, and he'll encourage you if you're on the right path. Okay, there were competitions that we didn't win, but it doesn't matter. God made sure that everybody gets something, So that's the kind of culture I have in my office, a culture of flexibility, a culture of motivation and encouragement, and a boss who you can approach, because he will listen, and if you have good ideas, he'll adopt them. Yeah.
What would you say informed how you structure the culture in your organization?
Okay. One, because I read a lot. I always want to be a better leader. I read a lot about leadership, about how to be a better boss, and then being a Christian. I want to have Christian principles running in my organization, So I'm more like a father and a loving father to my workers, and also having worked in the UK where, the culture is very flexible. I mean, my boss, I can go to the washroom, and we didn't have like senior officers' washroom and junior officer room. No, we only had a washroom for all of us. And I go to the washroom, and the boss, the partner, the chief partner of the company is in there. And he'll call me by my first name. I call him by his first name. You get me? So there was that culture where you're not scared of the boss. They listen to you. You can always go to them. I tell people the time I lost my job in the UK was when my boss called me to come to his office, and that day alone, when I entered the office, he said, "Senor, can you please shut the door?" Then I knew there was trouble, because most of the time the door is open, and when I go, we have a wonderful conversation and so on. But that day alone, he told me to shut the door, and he told me that the economy was so bad and we didn't have enough work. And so they were asking some of us to go. And I was one of the people, Yes. But that was, before it happened, I'd already started thinking that, I want to move to Ghana where I can set up my own office. So I just took the advantage of, although I could get other jobs, but I said, let me move back to Ghana where I can set up my own practice. And that's how come I moved to Ghana. And lo and behold, my first project was converting helping a mate convert the Nkrumah Conference Center into the new Parliament House. That was my first project, And through that, God made sure that I started my networking, So after 2 years, I moved and set up my own practice. Yeah. And I've been so happy, although I have a British passport, I'm so happy moving back to Ghana and contributing to the Ghana space. Like when Atta Mills wanted to set up 2 new public universities. I was the one who was the sole architect on the committee to write the report on setting up the new universities and what kind of facilities, buildings should be built and all that. And it's been exciting because, if I were still in the UK, I wouldn't have the same same impact that I'm having over here. In 2018, I was just told by my employees that, do you know there was some competition to find the Ghana most respected architect, CEO, and we put you in, as
your employees.
Yes,
they
put me in, and before long, they were campaigning for me, going around. And lo and behold, I was there. If you come to my office, I have a plaque, Ghana most respected architect CEO, 2018. And with the design competitions that the office has won, Anytime I go to Ghana Institute of Architects meetings, people look at me and say, now I can put a face to the name, because we heard the name. And normally our profession, being a fellow is the highest level. So normally people have to apply to become fellows. But I was approached by some of the architects, some of the senior architects in the profession that, look, we think you should apply to be a fellow. I said, I don't need to be a fellow. But at one of the AGMs, I was asked to bring my CV, and they conferred fellowship on me. So I'm one of the fellows now.
Okay.
Without having to apply for it.
Okay.
So I'm really humbled that in my profession, I'm recognized and I'm respected. And young people want to do their internship in my office because they've heard about
you.
The culture.
Okay. They say that all unhappy families are different and all happy families are the same. Some people may be asking, why did we bring Mr. Senotete and Brian together? Well, we see a lot of similarities in their stories, the lessons they took from their years abroad, the ways they decided to come back to Ghana and all those things. When we come back on our next episode, we'll continue with them from where they went on from in school to their first jobs after school, and then eventually transition to be entrepreneurs. But that will be for another session. Thank you for joining us for this episode of World of Work. See you next time.